Hello, welcome to Realist Revolution USA. This is the podcast for real patriots who care about real America. I am Kim, one of your resident realists, and with me today I have Macklen, my co-host, our other resident realist. Macklen, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Kim. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show.
Yes, welcome to the revolution, right?
Amen.
So let's get real about why we've created Realist Revolution, kind of what it is, and what everybody can expect. The general idea here is that for too long, too many people have been pitted against one another. We're talking Republicans, Democrats, independents, atheists, Christians, Muslims, Jews, everybody, for no reason. Realistically, we are here hoping to give a voice to real Americans, not rich people who have bought the system, who have gamed the system, and who are working to pit us all against one another. And we are hoping to do that through interviews with people who are living real life scenarios of all sorts of topics, ranging from teaching to teenage life to Judaism to, TikTok worlds. And that's really what we're aiming for. So it's going to be quite an adventure, and we hope everybody's going to come along with us. We're hoping to learn. We're hoping to get into maybe some difficult conversations and kind of help people get out of their feelings and take a common sense, realistic look at the facts. Anything to add, Macklen?
Yeah,
What do you
well
think?
said. No, I think it's really important because we all have nothing but our own experiences to bring to these conversations. If you're listening to this right now, you have your own set of lived experiences. I have mine. Kim has hers. And the only way to understand other issues is to listen to people who have those lived experiences. So Kim and I are going to bring our own points of view, our own common sense, and how we define that. But we're looking forward to listening to people who can teach us stuff because we all have sources of knowledge that we are proud of, and we also all have maybe patches where we don't know as much, and we can learn from one another. So this is a journey for us as well as you, the listener.
Absolutely. Now I think let's just get real about who we are, give everybody kind of an idea of who we are, where we're coming from, what we're into, I guess is a good way to start. I can go first. My name is Kim. First and foremost, coming into this world, I'm a daughter, right? We are all a son or a daughter. I am also a mom. I am a spouse, a military spouse. I have an education background. I have an accounting background. I have a hodgepodge of experiences in different business settings. So, all sorts of experiences to share on those. Very important to me. I am if nothing else, dedicated binge watcher, which I'm sure a lot of people can relate to, especially after being locked up in 2020, right?
For sure.
I am also a chaos coordinator for our family. We have two young boys who, shout out to all the boy moms out there, girl moms too. Every parent, I'm sure you can get down with being a chaos coordinator. So that takes up a huge part of my life. And yeah, so I love to learn, lifelong learner, love to talk to people, love to understand where people are coming from. And also, huge thing in my life is music. I am a person who rocks out in my car. You can see me driving down the road. I am full on belting out songs. And my children tell me to stop all the time, but I don't.
What's the most embarrassing song that you belt out, Kim?
Oh my
Do you want to get
gosh.
real? If you can get real on this podcast, let's get real.
um, I'm
Oh,
horrible with names and
or what
titles.
song are you?
I want to
Would you be
say
proud to
Break
be heard
Stuff, I
called like
think, by Limp Bizkit is
that? Nice.
one of my like angry songs. Also, Gloria Estefan. I'm a lifelong huge fan of her. So get on your feet, people.
Love it.
So that's a little bit about me. Certainly, there's a lot more layers as there is to everybody. But from there, I am going to hand it over to you, Macklin. Tell us about yourself.
Great. Thanks, Kim. My name is Macklen. I'm an actor. I am a writer. I'm an improv comedian. I used to facetiously say I'm a professional agitator because I like to disrupt things by going to protests and by going to rallies and demonstrations that for causes that I believe in. But there's been a lot of conspiracies floating around that people are actually getting paid to go to protests, which is silly, and I think it hurts. It hurts everybody's image. So I no longer jokingly call myself a professional agitator, but I do like to. I am a community activist and organizer. I'm a union organizer. I like to go to city council meetings and make my voice heard, and and get people. I like to get people riled up. I like to get people who believe in the things that I believe in to be riled up and inspired. And I also like to agitate people who maybe don't disagree with me, and to start these difficult conversations that Kim alluded to earlier. I am really passionate about workers' rights and social justice, and uh, and I like to approach politics from just a place of compassion and understanding. And so I think it's going to be great to learn information from our guests on this podcast and to learn points of view. But I think and hope if we all keep an open heart, then there's common ground to be found in every issue. So that's how I'm approaching this podcast, this revolution.
I love it. One thing I should probably add to my description is I have been known to be a little bit blunt. Uh, Macklin can attest to that.
It's true.
So that is something that I certainly will be bringing to questions and concerns. And I like to think that I'm a pretty fair person, and I generally like to take people out of their emotions and confront them with the reality of a situation. So that is definitely something about me that I should probably share as we start this journey.
And Kim, it's that part of your personality that made me excited when you brought this idea to me to do this show and you asked if I would co-host it with you. It's that aspect of your personality that I thought would pair really well with mine because both of our hearts are coming from the same place, but I, maybe to a fault, uh, I'm a little too delicate and careful with the way I phrase things, and you like to just come right on and say what's on your mind in the best way possible. So hopefully that's a dynamic that works well for our listeners as we have these two different personality types going hand in hand.
We're going to find out.
We are gonna find out.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's it can be disarming for some people. But realistically, I think it's a great way for people to kind of look inward, which is what I feel is really needed in our world today. Sure, everybody can, in their minds right now, picture somebody who they know, believes something or says they believe something and then acts completely counterintuitively to that, whether it be voting for somebody who is completely the opposite of what they say they stand for, or somebody who says one thing and then does a complete other in any scenario. realistically. I'm sure we all have seen that happen in the real world. And that's not to say there's anything wrong with anybody changing their minds or growing and evolving their viewpoints. That is a huge part of life and a really awesome thing to see happen for people as they grow. But it sometimes can take some gouging to get people to really think about where they are coming from and how that affects others, whether they think it does or not.
Yeah, well said. Actually,
Yes,
could I ask you a question, Kim?
sure,
Because you've talked
absolutely.
about what this show is intending to do
Hmm.
and what people can expect from the show. Could you just explain to me and to our listeners like your emotional experience in listening to politics, following the news over the past several weeks, months, years that led you to this point where you feel like this podcast needs to exist?
Absolutely. Um, I think part of the reason why we're now stuck in this crazy world that we are is real people, real everyday people don't have a voice. And they're running towards leaders who are so disconnected from the reality of everyday Americans. And they also really don't care about those people. So, my biggest hope is that we are giving people a voice to share their experiences, to share how their everyday lives are, to share their experiences with, you know, making a movie or going to teach, a college course or becoming a parent, all these things that not every single person has that experience. And it would be helpful, I think, it's so easy for all of us to kind of sit back and judge, right? We're human beings. Humans are intrinsically wired to judge and compare, right? But uh, I think it would be a lot better if we understood that we are not the enemy, your neighbors are not the enemy, your friends are not the enemies, your family's not the enemy, right? We all need to come together as true patriotic Americans. We need to stand up for ourselves and what our country was founded on, not what I fear it has become and is becoming right now. Can be scary. And I think we need to take the power back from the people who just don't care or are so disconnected that they have no way to have a realistic viewpoint on the lives of Americans and how decisions and policies affect real Americans.
It does seem like it seems like every elected official either got into politics for the power trip of it all, or politics quickly corrupted them and they got in it for the right reasons, and now they are, like you said, just so disconnected from everyday life and real people that they're constantly either doing nothing or actively working to undermine us and make our lives as difficult as possible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So that's kind of a huge, huge question. Great question.
Yeah.
I think it's just really important to meet people where they're at. And whether that means, people who are farmers, people who live in tiny rural communities, people who live in the cities, we all have these crazy different experiences. And I think it would be really awesome if, people who live in small places who have never left those places can get the viewpoint of somebody who lives in a city who, has to deal with traffic and the hustle and bustle and the keeping up with the Joneses and all those little bits of life, aspects of life on various topics. It might just, open up the world a little bit more to people.
I've been thinking about that a lot with every time there's an election and they break down demographics of who voted for who. One of the categories is always college educated and non-college educated, and I'm not going to say which is the right way to vote, but I think there's an implication from people when they say that the college educated overwhelmingly went for candidate X and the not college educated overwhelmingly went for candidate Y. I think a lot of people think that means that, oh, smarter people like this candidate over this one. And I think what college educated actually does to people, college is not the right path for everyone, but it's that small town, big city thing where college gets you out in ways that not going to college can't do, and or it's difficult to do. And you meet people who are nothing like you. And I think that's the kind of education that people need, is to have experiences and to meet people that are different than the people they grew up with, so they can learn more and be experienced and be exposed to more. And I that makes me uncomfortable every time the news uses that term, because I think they're trying to draw false correlations between intelligence and voting. And it's not about book smarts. It's about an emotional intelligence that you get to develop when you meet new people. And college is the easiest way, most expensive way, but easiest way for an 18-year-old to meet new people.
I would counter
Yeah.
that and
Oh, let's
say
counter it.
one of the other, uh, certainly wouldn't term it easiest, but one of the biggest ways that people kind of get out of their small towns, big towns, shells, homes, wherever they're coming from, the military is also a big
See?
one where
And
you meet
there's
people
my
of,
spot of ignorance. Yep, absolutely. I was thinking of the binary of you go to college or you enter the workforce. And even though I know people in the military, that's where my blind spot was right there. So this is good. We're gonna keep each other in check. I love that.
yes, yeah, all people of all stripes in
Hmm.
the military. And like you said, colleges, schools, um, it's all about just getting a different perspective and understanding how maybe your decisions uh, in a small place may not feel like they have an effect on people in a big place, but they do, and vice versa. So, kind of getting into those nitty gritty details of life and how we're all kind of interconnected, and we need to just band together and understand that it's all of us together at this
Yeah.
point.
That vice versa thing you just said really resonates with me, because I lived in Los Angeles for 18 years and now I'm living in Southern Illinois in a small town, a city, but a small city of 20,000. And I'm having that experience where I did have my worldview shaped by the urban lifestyle I was living in. And now I come here, smaller community, and my eyes are being opened to other points of view. And so it is important that it does go both ways. It's not just small town folks who need to understand what big city folks are going through. It is definitely the other way around, like you said, Kim.
Absolutely. All right. Kind of moving out of that sphere, we may have answered some of our own questions at this point. I had a question for you, Macklin. I was curious, do you have any topic or topics that you and I have kind of already on the side spoken about that you're kind of most looking forward to, or that you're most interested in to cover?
I do. Anything involving social activism is where I'm going to be, or social issues, I should say, is where I'm going to be most tuned in. I'm going to phone in the episodes, Kim, that are about topics I don't care about. But when I get, I would love to, I'm excited to talk about trans youth in sports. I'm excited to talk about homelessness. I'm excited to talk about affordable housing. I'm excited to talk about any topics about that involve racism or prejudice or discrimination of any kind, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, um, and uh, Israel Palestine. I would put that under the umbrella of social causes, workers' rights. Those are where I'm gonna really be chomping at the bit, and I'm excited to learn and get inspired by the topics that I don't expect to love. So that's what I'm actually really most looking forward to. I know the topics I'm going to love. I'm looking forward to being pleasantly surprised by, oh my gosh, that conversation about AI was wonderful and illuminating or whatever. So, yeah, what about you? What are some of your topics that you're most excited about?
Oh gosh. I probably similar to you am very intrigued by education topics, kind of like my wheelhouses, right? Education, certainly military. I have certainly my own viewpoints on that. All military spouses out there have plenty of them, I'm sure, who can relate. Definitely kids. Like, I really am looking forward to having some conversations, hopefully with some younger generations and seeing where they're at, gauging where they're at. I don't want to age myself. I'm not that old, right? Um, but but uh, definitely want to hear where they're coming from because I think about, especially this past election, there's a whole generation removed from the last time that we had a President Trump. And of course, this time, anybody who's old enough to really remember what it was like and know, how things went the first time versus how they're going this time. There's a huge difference there. And a large part of the youth vote went to supporting Donald Trump, which, I mean, to me is neither here or there. But I'm very curious to talk to some younger folks and see where they're at, why they feel the way they feel, if they feel forgotten, if they feel looked over. I think, yeah, I think it's just really intriguing to me. So I'm really looking forward to that.
One thing I worry about with the youth, and I don't worry, I think they're,
You sound like an old man right now. The
I know.
youth.
I worry that they don't fully appreciate just how strange the times are that we're living in because they don't have the experience to compare it to. And they might intellectually know this is weird, but I don't know if they can viscerally feel how backwards things are right now. Um, so I do worry about the kids these days just from that point of view. The kids are going to be fine. I think this next generation is going to run circles around us, and they're going to save our asses in more ways than one. So I'm not worried about them. I'm worried I feel for them, and I hope they can appreciate that these are not normal times. That these
Yeah,
are extraordinarily bizarre times that we're living through right now.
absolutely. Extraordinary times. And not
Like the
just here in the US, all over the world.
exactly, exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
A small example of that is just like how uncivil our politics have become with just name calling and yelling at reporters, and it's just that feels so ordinary now, and even I am getting desensitized to it. But it's just bizarre when you hear someone call a reporter stupid to their face every single day, and that's just profoundly strange to me, and mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of brings me back to one of the other topics is parenting. Like, one of the things that used to be said to our generation a lot was, you know, your mother raised you better than that.
Hmm.
right? Stuff like that was it does all the time, I feel. And gosh, I think about, you would have been so scared as a kid to have your teacher call home to your parents or,
Oh my gosh. If you got
um,
in trouble in school, it was going to be worse when you got home. Like, because your parents always had your teacher's back no matter what. And now it seems like it's the
yeah,
opposite. The parents are feeling very empowered to go after
there's
teachers.
tons of parental insertion to make an interesting term up there. But I certainly have views on that, which I'm
And we'll
sure
we'll
a
get
lot of
into
people
them.
do. Yeah, we'll get
Yeah.
into it.
I mean, that's another
Um,
example of how we're different. Like, I do not have kids, right? So you and I are going to bring very different experiences and opinions, and yours will probably be correct because you have the lived experience. But yeah, and I'm going to have a lot of questions, so it's going to be great. One place where I have ignorance is business owners. I know owning a small business is a very it's not even niche. It's a very commonplace thing that I just don't have that point of reference for. So that is some place where I'm gonna overlook or miss something where hopefully we'll have guests or you, Kim, can rally corral me when I go astray in those areas.
yes, that's another topic that I am looking forward to. I find that a lot of times I take myself and look at a scenario and I'll say, okay, well, it makes sense for people to be upset about something or the way that a business is going, but think about it from a capitalist standpoint, which this country is capitalism. Uh, and yeah, it kind of flips your whole view on things. So yeah, that'll be
Yeah.
fun. Another question I kind of had for you, Macklen, when I first approached you about this, you seemed immediately ready to jump on board.
Yeah.
Um, so I was kind of wondering what drew you into wanting to do this. I know you have obviously an acting background, an improvisation background. So this is kind of more comfortable for you than it is me, certainly starting. But
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you had any insight into
Well,
what
yeah, I'm
drew you
desperate
in.
desperate for attention, so anything to put a microphone and a camera in front of me, I'll take. Yeah, Kim, I've wanted to do something politically charged for a while where I can scream because we both had the experience of watching the news and just not being able to fathom how much incompetence is ruining our lives and how much better our lives could be if people in charge were better and they cared and stop trying to divide us like you said earlier. No, I said like you're trying to divide us. No, like you said earlier. So I've been wanting to do something and I didn't know what that was. Like a blog post is not really my style. I thought about doing a podcast, but it just seemed so overwhelming. And so when you brought the idea to me, and it's like, oh, someone to help share the load and share the work responsibility with, they just seemed like a perfect opportunity and a perfect outlet. And I think you and I both agreed from day one when you came to me with this idea, even if not a single person listens, even if we don't get a single pity download from our friends, we're going to feel at least a little bit better because we got to talk and say our feelings out loud and learn from somebody, and maybe they learn from us, and we're going to at least impact our own lives for the better. So it just seemed like a no-brainer. It's like let's get out there and talk to people about what, like you said, what common sense can be and what common sense can look like. It doesn't have to be. We're going to talk about a lot of complicated issues in this show, but the solutions don't have to be complicated because they're rooted in listening and just caring about each other, and especially people that you don't know anything about, caring about them and learning about them. Um, I tell you, one thing that gave me pause about saying, I did say yes immediately, but one thing that I was not sure about in the back of my mind, and I'm still not sure about, to be honest, and we're going to see how it goes. I'm wondering what it's going to be like to have a guest on talking about a charged issue, and if they say something that really uh, bothers me and something that I feel like, oh, that shouldn't be said on this show. Now, I have no reason to think that's going to happen. We know wonderful people, and we're going to only bring wonderful people on the show. But when we start talking about controversial issues, something could be said. And so I'm wondering how I'm going to navigate that moment in terms of making them feel welcome and respected, but also standing up for my principles and making sure that that comes across very clearly. Uh, so I'm nervous and excited about that. I don't know if you have any similar or not similar. I don't know if you have any things that you're particularly looking forward to or particularly apprehensive about or anything that you want to get off your chest before we have our first guest on.
Gosh, very similar to you. If nothing else, my biggest hope for this show is if we touch one person, if we have one person, if we have them take a look at their biases, their own, viewpoints, and if nothing else, even if they don't change their mind, which nobody has to change their mind, right? We're all entitled to our own opinions, our own viewpoints, but maybe just have a better understanding of where other people are coming from and maybe pull back a little bit and say, oh, okay, I get it. Maybe I don't have to be so vicious in my stance. Um, I am aggressively passionate about stuff in my life. So certainly I need to keep that in check, I think, as we move forward. But uh, also, very much, I love talking to people. I love seeing where people are coming from. So I'm really looking forward to kind of having those tough conversations and looking inward to myself and also maybe touching a couple other people and making sure that we're all looking inward
Yeah.
because we got to come together. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
It is. Can I ask you a question about a word, a term that we've been throwing around a lot, but I don't know how I would answer this, so I'm going to put you on the spot with a really hard question. How would you define common sense? Because I think a lot of people who disagree with us or me or you on politics think that their point of view is common sense. Um, so what does that mean to you?
For me, I think common sense is being able to remove emotion
Hmm.
from a viewpoint and being able to take a step back and look at facts that are backed up by proof, science, quotes, words that have actually come out of people's mouths, and being able to look at those and say that something doesn't make sense because X, Y, and Z has happened, or so and so said X, Y, and Z. Um, really, it's that to me, I think, is it. Just remove the emotions, look at the raw data, for lack of a better term.
Amazing. I'm already even more excited because I have the exact opposite approach. I'm like, yeah, facts are important, of course. But I think I said it earlier, it was just, it boils down to like just putting your heart into it and caring about human beings. And I'm not saying that you don't care about human beings, Kim, but I feel like I couldn't remove my emotions. Um, so that's going to be fascinating how I
We'll
learn
get there.
from your style and you ignore my style.
No.
Yeah, that's great. That's
Yes.
great.
Yeah. Um, I think that it's certainly like you said. I don't think common sense is all about facts. I think that is more so science, right? But being able to remove the those visceral reactions to things, I think and knowing what is right and wrong. I
Yeah.
think that maybe more so is what the heart of it is. Do you have
Excellent.
any other questions for me?
Uh, the last question I have, and it's going to come up in this podcast, but it's more, the question is more about your daily life. How often do you get into conversations with people who disagree with you? And let's say it's someone that you know well, and sorry, let's say it's someone and you care about your relationship to that person. How honest do you find yourself being? Well, I know the answer. How honest you find yourself being, but how do you walk that fine line between trying to maintain a relationship, speaking your mind, and trying to shoot down lunacy that you hear coming from somebody's mouth, for example?
Oh, I mean, children notwithstanding, that's right.
That's a whole other.
Uh, I have definitely had a lot of interesting conversations with friends of mine who do not share the same viewpoints as me, which I kind of love
Mm,
because I have my friendships in my world. I come from a very small family. And so throughout my life, friendships have kind of been my chosen family. And so they mean a lot to me. So I try to take real good care about how far I push. Um, but I'm certainly not scared to say, well, why do you think that? Or, okay, you're saying, you know, something, but why does that make sense if, this other thing is true? And it's kind of hard to state in an abstract way. But yeah, I think the thing about this adventure is that I am very willing to reach out to every person I've met. And I think that's kind of where you're at too. We're going to kind of pull from a huge pool of friends and family and uh, community members. And we are not scared to bridge any topic. Uh, and I think that is really important, but also to let people know that it's okay to not share our viewpoints. And it's just life, right? Everybody has their own opinions, which is how the world keeps turning, how new ideas come about. Um, yeah, I don't know if that really answered your question, but
yeah.
I very much value all of the relationships that I have in my life. And I think through choosing those people, um, that kind of trust and understanding is already baked in. So it makes it easier to have tougher conversations or to challenge people and not, have them feel like they're going to be written off just because we disagree about something.
Exactly. Do you have any other questions?
um, yeah, I think we probably covered most of
I think we
mine
did.
already. um, yeah, so I think at this point, really, if there's any topic that anybody wants us to cover, whether it's something that you know about already or something that you feel totally at odds with personally, um, something you just are confused about, We are going to have our website, www.realistrevolutionusa.com. And we'll have links to all our socials on there. Please reach out to us, give us a follow, let us know what you want to learn about, what you're interested in, what you want to hear about. As I said, Macklen and I are going to cast our nets wide. And certainly, as was mentioned earlier, this is about everyday Americans, right? We're going to talk to everyday people from all walks of life who've done all sorts of things and kind of get information straight from the horse's mouth. So, yeah, anything else to add, Mac?
And we know Kim and I know a lot of people in a very diverse array of different jobs and backgrounds. So we're not going to have trouble getting our first slate of guests. But if you reach out to us with a specific topic that you have a specific expertise or experience with that you would like to share, no promises that we're going to put strangers on our show anytime soon. But we would love to keep that on file for down the road when we've exhausted every single person that we know. And this podcast has blown up and it has billions of downloads every day. Then we'll be looking to expand our platform. So definitely feel free to reach out if you'd like to be a guest on the show. No promises on our part, but we'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. So if this sounds interesting to you, or even if it sounds like it's going to be a complete dumpster fire, please join us on this journey.
It'll be better if it's a dumpster fire, right? So, like, either way,
Right?
it's going to be great.
You can't look away.
Watch us burn in flames.
We are here to work to bring more knowledge, less fear, more understanding, and light to the things that matter to you and us, everyday real patriots of the USA. So look for our next episode, and until then, keep it real.